So, I posted a while back to Facebook mentioning that I was working on building the ugliest guitar. And this is how it came out. It's actually unorthodox, certainly, but not as ugly as I might have worried. And the ergonomics work out really good. This is actually really comfortable resting on my leg like this, and that was why it's got this funky cutout, otherwise I would have just built it like a big version of a cigar box. It's a little goofy because it's the neck is from some knockoff Stratocaster, I think. It wasn't attached to a body when I got it. I went to Atomic Music and I was basically like, hey, you have any necks? And they were like, yeah, here. But I already had the tuners installed, so saved some money on that. Anyway, the one thing that really turned out badly on this project is that the action is quite high, as you can see. And so it's not really playable. It's very tiring. It's very hard to press down any one string without accidentally pressing down the ones next to it, all that kind of thing. And so probably at some point what I'll do is dissolve the glue that's holding the neck in place, take the neck off, sand it a little bit so that it will join at a very slightly lower angle, and glue it back in. It's not a truss rod adjustment because it's not that the neck is bowed, which has caused the action to raise. It's that the straight line of the neck is not quite at the right angle. You know, it should be at a 0-degree angle, and instead it's at like a, I don't know, 5-degree or whatever. Anyway, you're probably sick of hearing me babble. I've got it tuned in open G. I'm not sure if it's actually holding that tuning, so we'll see. But at the very least, the open strings, as you can tell, sound, nice and clear. It's a very loud instrument, shockingly loud. But without further ado, that's played, like a standard guitar with a like a bottleneck slide. I also got a bar for playing it like a lap steel, and that actually works pretty well. Works pretty well as well. I think this one's actually a little bit easier to use. The playing position's not comfortable for me yet, but this thing's actually like really heavy, and it adds a lot. Gravity helps some in keeping the strings held down evenly. It's also a little bit easier to keep it centered, and it's taller, it's longer than the bottleneck slide. So you don't, I at least, don't slide off one string as commonly as I do with that one. In terms of construction, this is that's also a somewhat unorthodox aspect. The top and back are both Luan, and the sides are 1 inch wide by, what is that, 3 inches, 4 inches pine. So I jokingly called it the pine box, despite the fact that it's not coffin shaped. That's a standard polyurethane finish, nice and waterproof. The bracing is a little bit unusual, but it is actually braced. You know, it's not just a Luan top. I'm of the theory that bracing patterns matter a lot to sound, but I hope to test that in some future experiments.